Okay, folks. Well, I am Susan Blunt. I'm one of the directors of Neighbors on Call. Becca Zirkin, our other director, is here as well, and you'll hear from her in a minute. And Laura Baxley, who is the executive director of County to County. You'll hear from both of them in a little bit. Now, we have really streamlined tonight's program so that we can stop in time for the president's address at 8 o'clock. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to be moving fast through this program. Neighbors on Call and County to County are pleased to have been co-hosting this series, Smart Policy Stellar Candidates. And tonight we are focusing on education. It has certainly been a roller coaster few weeks for us Democrats. We're so glad to be together with you tonight, united in purpose. Our work at Neighbors on Call and County to County remains focused on breaking the Republican supermajority and eventually reaching Democratic majorities in the state legislature. At Neighbors on Call, we canvass. In 2024, Neighbors on Call is focused on these 5 state legislative candidates in the Triangle area who are key to breaking the supermajority. Now, where their districts overlap, these House and Senate candidates are collaborating so that we can canvass for both of them at the same time. Whoops, back up. So you can see we are doing joint canvasses for those House and Senate pairs. We're canvassing every weekend for them, so you can check our website for sign-up information for details. Coming up on August 4th, we're going to have a little party. We're hosting a happy hour in Oxford. Come and bring your friends. And then we're building up to a big event, September 8th, Knock Out the Vote, which will be in multiple locations. And it's going to be a very interesting kind of event. So stay tuned. We're working out the details and we hope to see you then. We hope everybody can come then. So now save that date and we'll talk more about that later. Now I'm going to pass it over to Laura Baxley, who can tell you about C2C's work.
Thanks, Susan, and thanks everybody for being here. We always love collaborating with Neighbors on Call because our mission is aligned. We want to elect Democrats to the state legislature. We canvass, but we also do phone banking, postcarding, texting, and other things behind the scenes. We also raise money to run a GOTV paid canvassing program in these critical districts. You can see our full slate of candidates here. So we're working all the way across the state. You can, on the next slide, see additional activities that we're doing that don't directly overlap with Neighbors on Call, where we are working with the same candidates. We're canvassing together. But these are some extra activities. We'll be canvassing in the East, and we'll be running phone banks as well. So you can go to our website and sign up for those. We're also excited and hope that you will join us, NOC and County to County, on August 13th. We will do the final panel in this amazing series on smart policy and stellar candidates, and we'll be talking about reproductive rights. Hope you'll join us then.
Great. Now let's turn to our program. Tonight we are joined by Mo Green, who is running for the North Carolina Superintendent of Public Instruction. And we know we need to defeat his opponent, Michelle Morrow, because, well, lots of reasons there. We're also joined by 3 candidates for the State House, each working to flip a seat. Safiyah Jackson, running for House District 37 in Wake County. Claire Kempner, running for House District 9 in Pitt County. And Dr. Lorenza Wilkins, has he come in yet, who's running for the House District 25 in Nash County. He is coming from another event, so I'm sure he'll be arriving any minute now. Each of these fellow folks will introduce themselves in a moment, but now I'm going to turn the program over to Becca for a minute.
Hi, everybody. I'm Becca, the other director of Neighbors on Call, and here's what you can expect tonight. Mr. Green is going to lead the way with 2 lightning rounds. So he's going to introduce a topic relevant to education and pass it to whoever wants to answer in 1 minute or less. And there's no wrong answers, obviously. We just want a chance to hear from everybody. And we are planning to take some audience questions from the chat. And then we may have time for another lightning round or 2 at the end. So we'll see. And panelists, we're going to ask you to start by first just briefly introducing yourselves. So, Mr. Green, I'll pass it to you to start us off, and then please pass it along.
Great, thank you. And again, my name is Maurice Green. I do go by Mo, and I am looking forward to the conversation this evening. I am a candidate for the position of North Carolina Superintendent of Public Instruction, which includes two major roles, being the Chief Administrative Officer for our public schools of 1.4 million students, over 2,500 schools, and administers over $11 billion annually. And Chief Advocacy Officer for our public schools. I've had the benefit of having been the superintendent of Guilford County Schools for 7+ years, where we had notable improvements in academic outcomes, graduation rates, and character development. Also served in other roles connected with our public schools as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Safiyah.
All right, good evening, everybody. So happy to be here. I am Safiyah Jackson, running the campaign to flip Southern Wake County, House District 37. I have met many of you all in the Neighbors on Call family. We are family. And I'll just summarize in my quick minute and say, for those that know me and don't, on the surface, you might know me as the Chief Strategy Officer at North Carolina Partnership for Children, a corporate professional by training originally, but a fierce early childhood advocate and a lover of the arts and theater, and current Raleigh Little Theater board member. But deeper down, as you get to know me, you'll know that I love personality tests and I love getting to know people and make connections. Reproductive rights fire me up. And quality of life really propels my campaign and keeps me focused that as we're trying to ensure that North Carolina is first for business, that is also first for families and those of us who live here through a number of quality of life measures. So that's me, and I look forward to connecting more throughout our time today.
Great, Claire, I'll turn it to you and unmute yourself.
My 3-year-old won't remember this election cycle, but one day when she asks me what I did in this moment to protect her freedoms, her freedom to vote, her freedom to make decisions about her own body, her freedom to learn, I'll be able to tell her that I did everything I could. And that's why I'm running for House District 9. My name is Claire Kempner. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 young kids. And after the shooting at Parkland High School, enough was enough for me. I got off the sidelines and I joined Moms Demand Action, eventually becoming the state chapter leader and organizing year-round because movements require addition. I also worked on local legislative and municipal campaigns until I was asked to run for State House District 9. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm so excited to be here with Safiyah, and thank you, Mo Green, for leading us all.
Excellent, very good. And checking to see if Dr. Wilkins has joined.
He hasn't, but it is a technical problem that we are having on our side, and we are working to fix. Our Zoom license reset itself down to 100, and he can't get in. So we're solving that right this second.
Okay, well then we're going
You
to
start
continue.
your lightning round. We're going to solve that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So we're going to go ahead and continue because I do want to get our candidates talking about educational issues. So the first one we're going to talk about are vouchers and funding. And so North Carolina is undergoing a dramatic shift in the way it chooses how it uses public funds to educate school-age children in North Carolina. That shift has included the expansion of the taxpayer-funded private school voucher program, Opportunity Scholarships, that are now available to all families, regardless of income and regardless of whether they currently have children enrolled in private schools. They can all receive a voucher. Now, turning to Safiyah and Claire, what are your thoughts about this shift in the philosophy and action, as it were, as to how North Carolina chooses to use its public funds? And what will you do in relation to your thoughts on this issue. I'll start with Safiyah.
Absolutely. What this means, this shift, this defunding of public schools and investing in private schools, is a signal that our current legislatures don't fully understand the true cost of education, don't understand or hear the cry of the Leandro case that's been going on for 30 years, where communities are saying we don't have enough resources. The shift suggests a single bullet, and what I like to call not doing a good job of maintaining a diversified portfolio. You can't pull from one and invest in the other unless you no longer believe in, trust on, and bet on the original. And I think that's what it says to me, as that our public officials have by and large maybe given up on public school and not betting on it to do its best. And what would I do? Continue to be a champion of the Leandro. There have been lots of voices and professionals and perspectives looking at what's needed for children across all counties. And I will continue to be a champion for Leandro until it's passed. One last thing, I'll also be a voice of educating folks on just what it would look like to have a shared approach to education. We look to early childhood education and we see examples of what public and private schools can do for children, but not at the sake of defunding one to fund the other. Hey, Lorenza, good to see you. Leandro, Lorenza was getting messed up.
Very good. And so, Lorenza, I'm going to come to you in just a moment, but when I come to you, I'm going to give you about a minute to introduce yourself. And then the question is about our vouchers, private school vouchers that are taxpayer funded. What's your thoughts about those, and what would you do if you were elected? So you got a moment to think, but I'm going to go to Claire first.
So the vast majority of our state's children attend public schools, and yet some self-interested politicians have repeatedly denied our schools adequate funding. As a result, they've created an imbalance in our education system where all children suffer, but especially Black and Brown students who are harmed the worst. And now the Republicans in the legislature are speeding up their attempts to create separate and unequal schools by pushing legislation that will funnel public funds into private institutions. So we need to fully fund our public schools, like Safiyah said, and we need a moratorium on further expansion of the voucher program.
Very good. Thank you, Claire. And so now, Lorenza, I'm going to turn to you for introduction and then response to that first question.
Fantastic. Well, good evening, everyone. Let me apologize for my tardiness. I actually had a call just before this one, which concluded about 2 minutes ago with the States Project and 31st Street. As you all know, they're huge in fundraising, but also in canvassing. So I did not want to break that commitment. And then there was a slight difficulty getting in because this call was at or above capacity. So, and that's a good thing. But either way, I'm delighted to be here. Again, my name is Lorenza Wilkins. I am the candidate for House District 25, which includes Nash County. And I have over 30 years of experience in the private sector, the public sector, as well as the social sectors. Really what's driving my desire to contribute to the legislative process is a lot of what's been spoken of tonight is education. You know, I've been shadowed and interviewed by the New York Times for 3 days this week. And on last night, I had the opportunity to sit with and have dinner with 4 local school principals in Nash County. And the center of our conversation was on the voucher system. And as I look at data for Nash County back for 2022 to 2023, the voucher system has taken roughly $1.1 million away from public schools. As I look at 2023 to 2024, that number is growing to $2.1 million. Now, when I think about a state in North Carolina that is 47th in the nation in investments in school funding and monies per student, that to me is a problem. And so as a legislator, what I want to do is to make sure that schools are, especially those that are public, are fully funded. A fully funded public school system in Nash County would really mean an additional 199 teachers. It would mean an additional 8 bus drivers. It would mean upwards of 40 counselors for schools that we know our young people need. I think the educators I know that are on this call would agree with me. The number one thing that we need to focus on to ensure success in schools is quality teachers. And so we're not also compensating our teachers in a way that builds retention. That's another factor that we want to address at the legislative level.
Great, thank you. Y'all have, I think, articulated exceedingly well the issues and concerns with the taxpayer-funded private school voucher program. There was a question that was in the chat that I'm going to modify just a little bit, but it is related to what is and what should be North Carolina's per capita spending on public high school students. And I'm going to broaden that because I don't know that I can tell you exactly what it is for just the high school level off the top of my head. But I can tell you that North Carolina appropriates about a little over $11,000 per child, according to the Education Law Center. This is a report that came out a couple of years ago. So that will be updated, but just sort of hold that round number in mind, if you will. And then compare it to then what they said about even states right above and below us. So Virginia is a little over 14,000 per student, and South Carolina is a little over 15,000 per student. So you can begin to see the dramatic difference between even states right around us, and then nationally, again, we're about $5,000 less than the national average on a per student basis, if you will. I want to go to another question, and Safiyah, you are actually leaning in on that question about early childhood investments. And so what do you think about the current level of early childhood investments, and what would you propose if you were elected? I'll let you lean further in, and then I might call on Claire and Lorenza as well.
All right. Well, one ask of everybody in this room: whenever you hear yourself saying K-12, just put a P in front of it. I mean, we first have to work on just the public narrative about what is early childhood education. It's not babysitting. It is the beginning of the academic journey, beginning of the lifelong journey. And the spending for pre-K, which includes infants and toddlers, I have to say that because we don't have paid family leave. And when 2-parent working families have to go to work, they need a nurturing learning environment. So what I would do is continue to advocate for expansion of Head Start and early Head Start, which many of us may know. And I would highly recommend we all start talking about that 2025 plan to get rid of Head Start and early Head Start. But Mo, I think the funding is woefully insufficient. They're only those most vulnerable have access to something that everyone should have access to. And I think, Lorenza, just want to lift up the focus on teacher compensation. Part of the reason that we have such an imbalance in early childhood education is because most of our teachers across the state are making an average of $13 to $14 an hour. So we've got a long way to go to increase the respect for the field, the investment in the teachers, and the access for families.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to look to Claire. Looks like you want to jump in on this one as well, so jump right on in.
And I will just echo everything what Safiyah said. Families are having to make hard decisions to get their kids into early learning centers, having to choose between breaking the budget, being forced to cut back hours, or settling for low quality care just to ensure their kids have safe and accessible care. This lack of affordable early learning options also shortchanges our kids. And our kids are the future. And research shows that high quality early education can improve high school graduation rates and future employment income. We shouldn't be denying our kids the kind of care and early learning they need to fulfill their potential. And an education allows children to pursue their dreams.
Very good. Lorenza, anything you want to add on this one?
Sure. So when I think about education, I think most of you who are experts in education on this call would agree that most learning happens between birth and the age 5. So if we're investing more during that portion of a child's educational journey, we're setting them up for success much earlier in the process. I was a co-founder of a nonprofit back in 2009 called Compass Youth Center, where we really started looking at the school to prison pipeline and how students need to be reading on, at, or above grade level by grade 3 to really have a great chance to perform well academically, but also get on a track to identify a career path and then contribute successfully to society into post-secondary. And a lot of what we see as far as resources being taken away at that age is critical. I also think about, when it comes to the teacher side of that, classroom management. And how when students come in more prepared at the pre-K kindergarten level, and they're already at a certain level of proficiency, it helps our teachers to be able to do more with less. And then I think about the supplements. Some counties have a high retention rate on teachers because a teacher in, let's say, Nash County may only have $1,100 supplement. They can drive to Wake County and that supplement might be doubled. So if we're going to help really, I think, keep the kids in a position to have great leadership, addressing that teacher pay, but also ensuring we invest more early in the process will be a win-win situation for us all.
Thank you. Thanks to each of you for your answers to that question. We're going to look to questions that might be placed in the chat for the next few moments. And I did see one that was asking about, what's the amount of appropriations for the private school voucher program over the number of years. And I'll give you sort of round numbers for that. So it started relatively small. About 7-8 years ago with about 44-45 million appropriated annually, and that has increased now to this past year. For this coming year, it's going to be over, it's expected to be over 400 million, and then there's a bill that would expand that number even more to add another several $100 million. And the projection for the next 10 years is that over $5 billion will be appropriated for the private school, taxpayer funded private school. So that hopefully that gives you some sense of the magnitude of the dollars that have gone into it over the years, starting small and now going to be expanded pretty dramatically. So there's a question in here. Let's see. What are you all proposing about instruction and support for healthy meals and physical culture in schools? And the person says that these habits will lay the foundation to live to their greatest potential and impact all of their students for the rest of their lives. So anyone want to take that one?
Cognitive abilities are really important for young people when it comes to learning. We know that right now poverty, especially in our more rural areas, is an issue. During my actual day job, I work for the Interfaith Food Shuttle, which is located in Raleigh. And so organizations like that are working to put together programs such as Backpack Buddies, where students get to have supplements to their meals. We also are doing, as an example, on August the 10th, a major back to school celebration that will involve food, nutrition, education with United Way of the Greater Triangle. We expect to see 800 students, about 400 parents. And the goal there is to help them understand how nutrition, but also having access to fresh produce and healthy meals is a win-win situation for the school, for the student, as well as the parent. So I think more investments, when we think about the Farm Bill, we think about the USDA, those are other pathways that can really help to supplement the nutrition that we know young people need to be successful inside the classroom.
Great, thank you. And so we'll see if we can take maybe one more question from the audience. Can you comment on the effect on counties and communities within them that depend on the local public school system as a big part of their economic infrastructure? So either Safiyah or Claire, you want to jump in on that one?
Yes, there is an absolute direct, thank you for this question. There is a direct connection between the educational investments, the public school opportunities, and the economic infrastructure. I will post a link to this recently, but you know, as Claire said, the economists have studied, especially early childhood education, and calculated the kind of return that we experience as a society. And the report that I'm going to put in the chat acknowledges that the viability of businesses are threatened by families not being able to have access to early care and education. And the same is true for K-12. If there aren't schools that families can trust, we can believe that they will not bring their children to that area despite the businesses. So I'll stop there and I'll go look for the report and link that for you.
Great. So, you know, one question that I wanted to pose to our group is, you know, so there's a lot going on with, I'm going to put as a big category, cultural wars. So issues around things like banning books and what should be taught in schools, you know, including, you know, should we not be teaching things related to LGBTQ issues, issues around history, should we be incorporating more of race or less of that and more of religion into this? So would love for any of you to speak to how are you thinking about, you know, these cultural war issues, and if you're elected, how will you try to address those issues? Anyone want to jump in?
Academic freedom should not be at threat because some people want to try and maintain power. Anything that stands in the way of banning books, getting rid of libraries, defunding libraries within schools, all of these things are a threat to our democracy and truly a threat to families' freedom and choice to allow their children access to the materials that they need. So anything that stands in the way of that, I will oppose. And everything that we can do within our power as state legislators to limit and protect the school boards from, you know, people trying to infiltrate. And I get their autonomy and I respect that, but we have a responsibility as a state to say, you can make rules within the jurisdiction of your area, as long as it is not eliminating freedom from students and families and teachers.
Great. Thank you. And given that we are on this sort of truncated meeting tonight, we're unfortunately at time. And so you know, I'm going to look back to our leaders of the two organizations to take us home in the last few, you know, moments of this.
Thank you so much for being flexible and rolling with it. I think people do want to be able to hear the president address us with all the changes that are happening for all of us right now, and just cannot thank you enough for going with this new format. And it was really wonderful to hear from all of you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will see you out there canvassing. I know you'll be phone banking too with county to county, because we need to get these folks elected for sure. So we can't wait to celebrate with everybody in November, and we will see you many, many times before that. Thank
And
you
with
so much.
Safiya's permission, I will include those links you just put in the chat. I'll include those in the follow-up email so everybody can get them.
Thank you. Y'all
Thanks,
be
everyone.
Thank you,
blessed.
guys.
Awesome. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
See you
Bye,
later.
everybody.
Good
Bye.
night. Thank you.